2 has entered the podcast.
Welcome back, people, to Player 2 has entered the podcast. I am your co-host, Michael Peterson, a.k.a. MC Paperstacks, and with me, as always, is my co-host with the co-most,
Derrick Murkison, a.k.a. Full Metal Merc, and we are back with episode 46.
Yeah.
For the juicy ears, baby.
That's right. Why are the ears juicy?
I don't know why their ears are juicy.
What is ear juicy?
Their ears are getting wet from hearing our voices.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's, Derrick, you're horny a lot lately.
Sensual.
Very horny.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Will we? You're very horny co-host. This pandemic is doing things to you, buddy.
I need that bonk meme. No horny.
Yeah, if we were in the studio together, I had to hit you with a squirt gun.
Got it.
Cut that out. All right, well, aside from being horny, man, how was your week?
Yeah, just your normal week. I've been running around, grabbing stuff, and dealing with business bullshit. Speaking of, I got a email from Amazon, two separate emails, two separate occasions, and what it said was, "Hello, such and such. Thank you for letting us know you wanted this to happen. We've disposed of your product, and blah, blah, blah. It's now destroyed. Thanks, bye." And I'm like,
Is that a real email, or was that like a junk,
No, it's
Nigerian
real.
Prince
It's
email?
real.
What happened?
So, I don't know exactly. So, I had sold a sealed copy of TIE 3, Night of the Quincan, and I guess the person returned it. And for the longest time, it was showing on my Amazon seller app as shipped after they got it back. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I finally get that email. Your product has been destroyed due to your request. Have a nice day. And I'm like, I did not ask for anybody to destroy my shit. So now I got to call them and see if I can get reimbursed for that item and a Zelda on 3DS that they destroyed as well.
Why were they destroying shit? Why not just send it back to you? Why is that even an option?
I didn't even have the option clicked. It said destroy product. No, disabled.
Wow. I've just learned so much in so little time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So when I had to call them and get that handled, and on to other news. Like I said, I was running around.
Yeah, let me know how that turns out. That's so random.
Yeah, so running around finding stuff. I got some real dope pickups. I got the pick of the litter in front of me. I got a Mega Blastoise figure that you bend it down and it shoots this little missile out. I just did it.
You just shot them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's really cool. I got some really dope Switch games. So I got Valkyria Chronicles 4 with the Joy-Con skins still in there.
Oh, nice.
I got Ys 8.
Oh yeah, I saw you put that up. Yeah.
Yeah, with the
actual
cards
inserts.
are brand new in there and all the inserts. Code of Princess EX has the little disc inside of it and all the inserts and AI the Somnium files. Really, really good Switch stuff. I got those at Disc Replay, so I'm like, that's really dope.
That's cool.
This one that I go to, they always get really good shit. So try to go there at least once a week. I usually end up spending up hundreds of dollars. I also got the Steelbook Xbox One version of Dark Souls Trilogy, which is very hard to find. I wish it was a PS4 version, which is more sought after, but it is what it is. And lastly, I got a copy of NCAA Football 14, which, as we all know, is the last college football game, and goes for a pretty penny. So,
nice.
That's what I got. If you want to check that out, go to the eBay store, ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff I put up there. I get lots of gaming-related plushes and TV show plushes and stuff, so a lot of real cool stuff up there.
Very cool.
In other news, me and Vicky got our first COVID shot.
Hey,
so one more shot
shots.
and the government will have full control over our minds.
That's right. They only insert half of the microchip in the first shot, but the second shot is where they give you the rest of the microchip.
Right, exactly.
So, and then they fuse together like a transformer once they're in your body, and that's when they activate. And
you want to know the funny thing? Before we went, she read the instructions that said you should eat and hydrate beforehand. I was like, well, let's go to McDonald's, because if you eat the McDonald's, then the mind control in the McDonald's will counteract the mind control in the COVID shot.
Wait a second. Is mind control in the McDonald's an actual theory? I've never heard this one.
I mean, you know how people are.
I don't.
So
I've never heard that theory.
Oh, I've heard that shit.
Okay.
So I'm like, instead of the government controlling us, we'll just be fucking eating McDonald's for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
So
now, it is addictive. I will attest to that.
Right.
Eating McDonald's makes you want to eat more McDonald's.
Exactly.
I will say, though, if you go a really long time without eating fast food and then you try to eat it, it tastes kind of gross.
Oh, it's fucking gross. Yes,
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
Interesting how that works.
Yeah, but yeah, there's that. So we get our next shots in June. Then we will hopefully be COVID proof.
Cool. Well, yeah, along those lines, I actually got my second Pfizer shot on Wednesday. So I'm 2 days away from getting that second shot. And I've been hearing a lot of people feeling pretty crappy. They even warned me when I got my second shot. They're like, now, your body's going to recognize this, and it's going to kick those antibodies up even more. And I was like, okay, does that mean I'm going to feel sick? They're like, yeah, pretty much. Take Tylenol if you need it. I was like, okay. And so far, there hasn't been any real change to how I feel in the past couple of days. You want to know my secret?
What's your secret?
I always feel crappy. It's like I'm like the Hulk,
Okay,
but
Hulk.
for right,
Right.
but for feeling unhealthy. I need to see the sun. That's what I
Praise
need.
the sun.
I
About to
need to
blow
go
my
out and
nose
praise the
real
sun.
quick.
I took a long walk the other week. I think it was last week, and I got a sunburn just because my body was like, "What is this big yellow thing in the sky?" Just immediately got a sunburn. I was like, "Well,
What is it?
giving up on that." Yeah, that's the thing that happens to us pasty white dudes. We just get we get burnt by the sun. Luckily, I did not pass that on to my son. I was worried that even though he has a bit of melanin, that he might still have my proclivity to being damaged by our most abundant resource of life and light.
Right.
But no, he tans quite nicely, and he can be out in the sun for a while and doesn't really do anything to him, so that's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else is going on with me? Oh, yeah. So we went to the movies for the first time in over a year.
Ooh, how was it?
Went on
And
a
did you
little-
catch
little
COVID?
date. We did not catch COVID.
That's nice.
Because there was only like 4 people in the theater.
Wow.
Yeah, we went to Regal 17 in Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that this theater did not know it was located in Carmel because it was fucking shitty. And I think
Really?
we've gone there together before, but no.
Do you think it's crappy because of COVID, or do you think it's crappy because it was always crappy? Or
It's crappy because it was always crappy. There's no, we're spoiled now, but there's no reclining seats. It's cold as shit in there. Mm-hmm. The floors look
that sounds like the movies to me.
Man, not the movies we were going to. The one up in Fishers with the reclining seats and everything. Galaxy 14, I think. We used to love going there, man.
Yeah,
Every
I like to
week.
go to
We were
that
talking about
theater
how
in Keystone that lets you drink beer. That's nice.
Yeah, we were just like, we used to go to the movies like all the time. So I can't wait till we can get back into that. But on the way back from the movies, this is a little traffic story for you. Trying to avoid traffic on 465. So I go down Keystone, and there's obviously construction being done because it's being done fucking everywhere. I don't know why. But this guy is like in the middle of the line so as to make sure nobody else can pass him. But he can stay in his spot. And then the truck that's next to me, because I'm trying to get over to the right lane, the truck that's next to me keeps speeding up as I'm trying to get over. And eventually I've just had enough of this asshole in front of me, this asshole beside me. And I rolled down my back window, and the truck has his window down. I look at him, I said, "Hey man, do you mind?" And I usually don't like confront people like that, but he was really pissing me off.
Okay.
Like, "Hey man, do you mind?" He's like, "Well, you were back there, now you're up here." I was like, yeah. Shut the fuck up. Move out the way.
Okay. I will say that I
Seriously.
notice that sometimes, and you can tell by if you're constantly paying attention to the cars around you, which you should be if you're a good driver, but I do notice that I can kind of tell if I turn on my signal whether that's going to cause a person to speed up or not. And I hate that people, that's their instinct. Like, this person's going to get in front of me. I don't want that, even though I'm going really slow. So now I'm going to go fast so that they can't do that. But I'm like, if you go fast and then I turn into your lane and I'm behind you, you're just going to start going slow again. Just continue to go slow and let me go about my life, sir. So yeah, I get that.
And we were about to turn left as soon as we got in the right lane and got a little bit past the construction. So, it was one of those things. Vicky looked at me and she said, "Oh my."
Oh yeah? They give her the vapors?
Yeah.
You taking charge?
That's why I'm horny now.
Wow. Yeah,
She's
the two
like,
of you.
"Oh, do I mind?" She's like, ooh, you rolled down that window and you said, do you mind? You really, oof.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I need to get home quicker now.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I guess Nora will be getting a sibling shortly. That's nice to hear.
Oh, hell no.
Well,
Hell
cool, man.
no.
Yeah.
No.
We'll see.
Hell to the no.
We'll see.
Oh, speaking of Nora, sorry. One more thing.
Oh, yeah,
We've
sure, go ahead.
recently established a no-nonsense policy with her.
A no nonsense? Ooh, I'm going to hear about
Yeah,
this.
no nonsense. We give her way too many chances. Way too many. We'll, ask her to do something 50 times. And now we're just you get 1 or 2 times. And if you don't, you're going to timeout or you're getting whatever your attention's on taken from you. Okay. So I took her TV out of her room. She's not getting that back until I feel like she can handle going to bed on time. Because when it's bedtime, she's like, no, Daddy, don't, Daddy, when I go to bed, don't take the TV, no. Literally, I'm killing a loved one or something. That's how bad she's freaking out. So I was like, nah, I'm just going to hold on. Let me hold this for a month or so and see where you're at, where your head is at later.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so all that no nonsense shit now. So she wakes up in the morning. She's like, no, I don't want to get ready. If you don't get ready, I'm going to take your blanket off you. I don't want to get ready. Okay, snatch the blanket off. Don't take my blanket. Oh, get ready. Okay, come on.
Okay.
Because I don't got time for it no more.
I get you, man. I do. I totally get it, and I hope that works out. It'll probably get worse before it gets better, but I think that's any time you change what's expected or the regiment. But I will say that, as long as you're consistent, whenever we've had to make tuning or adjustment with how we handle Ben, usually there's that rough part in the beginning, and then it kind of smooths itself out. Luckily, so far, he's been fighting us a little bit here and there on a few things, but he never really full on throws a fit. But he will sometimes push back when we're like, hey, we got to do this. Lately he's been like, I don't want to go to bed, and I'm like, well, you gotta. So
right.
And he's just like, well, I can't fault that logic. And I'm like, good. I'm glad you haven't gotten there yet. So it's usually just I would like to express that this sucks. Noted. Go to bed, please. All right. See ya.
Right. All right. See you. See you tomorrow.
That's fair. So, all right, man. Well, speaking of your week, I just got to know, it's a video game podcast. Figure we get into it a little bit sooner than a half hour this week. What you been playing, man?
Man, I've been playing Final Fantasy X, otherwise known as Final Fantasy X. My second favorite game of all time. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's official now. It's my second favorite game of all time.
It's a lot.
I'm really enjoying replaying this game. You have no idea.
I think I do, actually. I don't know if you recall. I recently replayed it. I was enjoying the fuck out of it. Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's so
My
good.
opinion of this game has only improved with age. It's like a fine wine. Literally, it gets better every time I go back to it.
Yeah. So we recently reached Sanderkin, and we are at the point right before we're about to fight Lady Unaleska, and all the bombshells of knowledge are going to get dropped. And
oh yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah,
I love it so much.
It's good stuff.
So good.
So you've already been through the big. You've been through the big sphere where all the memories of past pilgrimages coming through there. You've seen Baby Seymour. You've seen young Orin with Jecht and Braska. It's good stuff.
Jecht. Vicky said she wants to watch a YouTube cut of all the characters saying Jecht whenever they say it. That would be pretty funny. Jecht.
My old man.
Right.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear Titus just go, my old man.
Yeah. The thing that I love most
Me and
is
my
that
old man.
Titus will say some real out the way shit about his father being sin or something, and then won't explain it to anybody else.
Yeah.
He'll say it out loud. He's like, I gotta stop my old man. Huh? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Nobody knows what he's talking about, man. It's funny.
Orin's like, I told you that in confidence.
Right.
Ugh. Don't tell Yuna. We need her to be hot for you.
Right.
And your spiky hair.
Uni will die, you know.
Uni will die, you know.
Yeah, it's Riku.
She loves it. It was like the most emotional, serious line spoken, and then right afterwards, you know.
Yeah, and that immediately takes me to Final Fantasy VIII with Fujin and Raijin.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, Fujin was always saying, or wait, was it Fujin or Raijin? I think it was Fujin. But yeah, Raijin was always like, dying is so not Cypher. He's probably alive. I was like, I appreciate their optimism.
Right.
I mean, they ended up being right, too, so. Mm-hmm. Spoilers. Cypher didn't die when Edea captured him, if you're in the middle of Final Fantasy VIII for whatever reason.
30 years later.
I love the scene in Final Fantasy VIII where they heard that Cypher was executed, and so they're all talking about him. Like, Quistis is like, he was a bad student, but I didn't think he deserved to die. And then Renault was talking about how she met him last summer and they were dating. And then Squall started, like, freaking out internally. He's like, he used to be a good guy. I remember he didn't. Is this how they're going to speak about me when I die? I won't have it. And then he just runs to the door and he turns around and he goes, I won't have it. And they're all like, what the fuck? And then he just leaves. And then you get to walk around watching people do push-ups and shit. It was a weird game.
I won't have it.
I won't have it. Not me.
I got to start it over because I missed Carbuncle. And that's a very useful summon.
Oh, it is a very useful summon. Yeah, you draw that from the Iguanodon boss things when you're trying to save Renoa after she got bodied by Edea.
Yep.
Or Adea. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Is it Adea? Adea's Family Reunion? Adea?
Adea. I don't know.
Boo and Adea Halloween. Can someone, I don't know why anybody hasn't done this yet, can somebody just put the Sorceress in all of Medea's movies? No, fuck that. Put Madea in Final Fantasy VIII.
Right. Y'all come up in here.
Y'all ain't gonna question somebody.
Lair?
I'm talking about enslaving y'all, and y'all just cheering for me. Y'all dumb as hell. Y'all need Jesus.
I show them something. Pop, pop. Pop, two.
Hey, little boy, you gonna try to assassinate me? Come here, you gonna work for me now. Come here, I'm gonna do a little magic on your face. Skirt.
I'm actually your mother. Oh.
Well, shit.
Right. Spoilers for Final Fantasy VIII. 25 years later.
We were talking offline about how we could probably just do an entire podcast talking about Final Fantasy X. Mm-hmm. Apparently that's true, but it would be Final Fantasy X with 8 sprinkled in.
Yeah,
and maybe some 9 and some 7. Yeah. We should just start a Final Fantasy 7 through 10 podcast.
Right.
That's all we talk about the whole time.
Right.
I'd listen to that show. I mean, because obviously I would.
Right. You'd be on the show.
I'd be on the show. Yeah. Well, this week, I on my side, I did continue to play Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine for Monday Night Brawlers. Started to show its age a bit this week, bub. Oh. Yeah, I got through another Africa mission, which they never tell you where they are. I think they're actually in Senegal, but I don't know exactly. Or maybe they're in Angola. I don't know. It just says Africa, which sucks. I guess it's because they don't want to be specific because of all the goofy shit that happens in your mission or whatever. Mm-hmm. But did that and did the thing where you escape from Arklay, like you're outside, and just a bunch of platforming and graphical issues and bullshit I had to deal with. Like, it's still fun, but starting to show its age a bit. And I'm like, eh. So I'm probably going to play it one more time for this upcoming Monday for like an episode 3, but I'm not so keen on finishing it anymore. If I have fun during this last episode, I'll reconsider, but if it's as anything like it was this week, I think I'm good. I think I've had my fill, so to speak.
Oh.
Like, it's not a terrible game. It's just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes with those older games, you just kind of got to get a little taste. Be like, oh man, I remember loving this game. Mm-hmm. And then you just put it back down. And you're like, okay, that's fine. That's enough.
Yeah.
And I think full.
For its part, I had fun with what little I did play of it. You know, it's just, I don't know if I need to. I mean, I already went through it so much. I got all the Achievos and stuff back in the day and unlocked everything. So I don't really feel the need to do that again, I suppose. I played the first DLC of Little Nightmares, though, last Friday after we recorded.
Spooky.
Yeah, it's interesting. The DLC is you're playing as another character alongside 6, which is the main character from the first game. In fact, there's a point where you get caught by the janitor and put in a cage, and like you're sitting next to 6, and you can see that moment or whatever. Like when she gets put in a cage by the janitor. So it's kind of interesting. And I started but didn't really continue very far into the second DLC because they just kind of slide into each other. They're like chapters. It's called the Hideaway. So I'm going to be doing the rest of that tonight. And then I'm assuming that I'll be playing the third DLC or finishing the third DLC the Friday after that. I think eventually I'm going to play Resident Evil Village for the show, but not right now. Even though it's really hot right now, I'm just soured from all that demo business. I'm just like, yeah. I don't want to deal with it. But eventually I will pick it up, so expect that maybe after Little Nightmares 2, maybe.
Okay.
Because I'm on that Little Nightmares train. I want to finish it and get a full range of the story. Maybe talk to Momo about it, because I'm sure she's got theories. So, But yeah, I think Momo's playing Resident Evil Village right now. She loves that game.
Yeah, I saw her post about it.
Yeah, I saw her post about it too. I tweeted at her like, "Hey, what time are you doing the show on Wednesday?" Because she said she was going to play on Wednesday, and then she never tweeted back. And then I went and checked her schedule, and she didn't update it. So I don't know if she's actually played it on Wednesday or if the stream is unscheduled. So I might have to.
Right.
Hopefully, she'll start uploading on YouTube again, because that's primarily where I watch Let's Plays, anyways. I don't have time to do scheduled streams all the time because either people's schedules is the same as mine, or they don't consistently keep to them, and it's really hard for me to follow folks, and then I just give up. But you popped in on one of my streams this week. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Before we do, let me finish off the other two games, aside from the big one this week. So I played a little of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and I was kind of on a Marvel kick, partly because of Wolverine, but also partly because I ran across this YouTube channel called Always Nerdy. And this guy was doing a retrospective on the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, and he just recently started X-Men Legends 1 and did a retrospective on that, and I think he's going to X-Men Legends 2 next. And he was talking about, he does a full rundown of the story, then he talks about the gameplay mechanics, a little bit of the history of the developer. Vicarious Visions did Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, but before that, X-Men Legends 1 all the way up through Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, that was all done by Raven. And I think you could tell the difference, that there was a different developer from Ultimate Alliance 1 to 2, and then also, of course, from 2 to 3, because then it was handed over to Team Ninja, I think, if I recall. He didn't mention a lot of things that I really had a problem with as far as Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and it presented a unique issue. The series, if you start from X-Men Legends and go all the way through to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, it's like a mountain. You start at the bottom of the mountain at the base with X-Men Legends. It's very bare bones. It's very basic. The story is not super good, but it's a cool idea to do a Diablo-style game, but with X-Men characters. There's no New Game Plus. The equipment's not very interesting. The movesets are kind of basic, but they have some good ideas in there. And then you get up to close to the peak with X-Men Legends 2. You got a New Game Plus. You got an extra hidden character that's not from the X-Men universe, but still in Marvel. And I'm not going to ruin it.
Dope-ass cutscenes.
Yeah, really good cutscenes. The powers and everything. Like, I still think to this day, the best video game representation, as far as playing as them, of Juggernaut and Magneto. The best. The best. And then you get to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, which I feel like is at the top of that mountain. It's like it can see X-Men Legends 2 from where it is, but it's just slightly better by virtue of being all of Marvel. Bigger story. They're going to all kinds of different environments. It's fucking wild. They're in Atlantis. They're fighting Kree. They're in Arcade's murder world. They're in hell. They're everywhere. Yeah, they're everywhere. And it's got arcade mode, and this is something he didn't mention in his retrospective, where you can play by yourself, or you can play in arcade mode with your friends, but everybody's competing for points, so you get to see who did the best during any particular level that you finish, which I thought was a really cool way to add a competitive nature to the co-op, which I haven't seen done before or since in that series, or really any of the dungeon crawlers. And it had, like, a really good assortment of characters. It was, in my opinion, was the best. You had multiple different powers, so you could really map out like how you wanted your character to be. And then Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 only gave you one alternate costume. Everything took place in continental United States, pretty much, except for, I think, the Wakanda level. So the levels weren't that varied. They reduced the number of characters, not by much. I think it was only by 3, but that's if you count the DLC.
Right.
And everything just felt dumbed down. You only had one power per face button, so you couldn't switch them out or customize your character. You just got what you got. Yeah. And then Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 dumbed it down even further, because initially, before the DLC, there was only one alternate costume per character, and it was just recoloring of the initial skin. So if you squinted your eyes, it kind of looked like an alternate costume, but not really. It was just coded to look like one, but it was still the same, it was just different colors. And they still, with just the one power per face button, they remove the combo system altogether. You can no longer pick enemies up and throw them, which throwing an enemy off a stage is like the funnest thing ever. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. And the DLC really helped with like kicking up the story, the number of characters, the number of costumes and unlockables and extra content. But it's still just, to me, it's at the other side of the bottom of the mountain. You know what I mean? Right. And I've never seen a series peak so quickly and then just drop off from there. And to top it off, that was 10 years after Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. It was pretty much a dead series that got revived. You could even think of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 as a reboot at this point. And again, I don't think they took enough from their predecessors to really lock it in as a great game. I had a lot of fun with it, so I'm not going to knock it too much. And I've definitely put enough hours into it. But just seeing what the series has done before, it baffles me some of the features they left on the table, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of my Marvel Ultimate Alliance rant. It's I know you have your thoughts on it too, but
yeah, I never played Legends 1, but Legends 2 was like mind-blowing for me.
You didn't need to play Legends 1. Legends 2, to me, Legends 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 are the best in the entire series. So if you played those two, you're set.
Yeah, because Legends 2, that was, I think, only X-Men after the original animated series came out.
Mm.
So I was in a dry spell, and I was like, oh, snap, some X-Men stuff. They got Archangel in this, the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse in this. Oh my god, this is amazing, it's crazy. So it just kept on crescendoing.
Who was your favorite character or favorite team in that game?
Oh man, I can't even remember, honestly. But probably Wolverine and Cyclops. I was a basic bitch.
You know what was cool? And again,
Nightcrawler.
you can't do this in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 because there's no grabbing or throwing. You could do a fastball special if you're playing as either Juggernaut or Colossus, and you could pick Wolverine up and throw him like a weapon.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Just a little nod to that in the comics. But the reason why I like Juggernaut and Magneto so much in that game is because Juggernaut had this move. I mean, he had his unstoppable moves, obviously, where he built up momentum, and then he could like break larger and larger objects. And there's a lot of destructibility in the environments. But he also had this move where he would punch an enemy and then land another. And if you kept landing punches with this power, he would visibly grow in size. And so you'd have like this massive, gigantic Juggernaut after like pummeling a high HP enemy. And then you'd run around and like beat up all the little jobbers as him for a few seconds until he shrunk back down, which I just thought was the coolest thing ever. And as far as Magneto had a really strong, devastating move where once you powered it, he'd put that little like magnetic field around his body and he would float in the air. And as he was floating forward, bits of metal and bullshit would just fly around him at fast speeds, fucking everything up. And that felt very Magneto. And there wasn't, you think there would be, but there hasn't been a move like that for Magneto in the other Ultimate Alliance or Ultimate Alliance 2 or 3. Like, for whatever reason, they didn't do that move again. I'm like, that's like literally his best move. What is wrong with you?
That's weird.
So, all right, well,
there's another game on the list to get together and play. So we got Shaolin Monks, and we've got Legends 2 or Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, why not both?
Why not both?
We'll go for it. We'll put it on the list, the co-op list.
Yes.
So there's not going to be a Pokemon Diamond Nuzlocke episode this week because all I did this week was grind. I went towards the 8th gym and found out that the 8th gym is electric. And considering the high levels of the Pokemon leading up to the gym, I'm assuming, and I haven't Googled this, I probably should have, but I'm assuming that the electric gym is probably going to have like level 50 Pokemon. And so I'm trying to get Jimmy up to level 50 at least before I attempt to fight that gym.
Come on, Jimmy. You can do it.
Jimmy's been training all week, and by that I mean he's been wearing an experience share because the Pokemon just outside of that area, which you would think would be possibly weak to Jimmy or not. It's mostly water Pokemon. I'm like, what are you guys doing to me? But they're the highest level Pokemon I have access to. So I'm fighting a lot of the groundwater slug things, the evolved form of Shellos. Yeah, I'm fighting
that Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon? Yeah, I'm fighting a lot of those and a lot of the water weasels. Just a lot of bullshit. So occasionally a Mr. Mime pops out of the grass like, hey! Hey, I mean, actually, he pops out of the grass. He pops out of the grass like.
Right.
See what I did there? Because mime.
Oh yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get to the major game of the week. So this actually just released right after I think on the day we recorded last week, it released last Friday. And that's Returnal for PS5.
Karen Simulator 2021.
Yeah, or Karen Simulator 2021. So the main character, Celine, she's an astronaut. Like the company is Astra. And she's flying a plane called the Helios, or Helios is her base. I'm not exactly sure. She's always talking to Helios. And she's investigating this weird signal called White Shadow on the planet Atropos. And she crash lands on the planet. And it's immediately kind of weird and dark and jungle-like. And you get attacked by these tentacle monsters. And the first thing you find is a weapon that's on another Astra, like, corpse. And you're like, how the hell did another Astra person get here? And then you look at the helmet and it's your name. And you're like, oh, shit, that's me. That is my name. This is my gun. What is happening? And then you die, and you immediately warp back to crashing the ship again. And you realize you're on this weird loop, and you start to find these audio logs, and it's you talking about how you've been here for a really long time and have been fighting. And you're like, what the hell? I just got here. How is this possible? And you run into your childhood home in the first biome, and eventually you get a key to go inside, and it goes all first person and PT and creepy. So there's like a real there's a real theme of existential horror in this game, where you're trying to figure out the mystery of why you keep dying and then like returning to the beginning, and why you're finding evidence that you've been here before but you have no memory of it other than like the times that you've already went through and died and whatnot. And it's pretty intense. It's by the same. It's House Mark. What's the name of it? Is that?
Yep,
do you remember?
That's it.
So it's the same developer that did Resogun, and it's definitely got that kind of bullet hell aesthetic. A lot of the enemies will shoot orbs of energy at you in varying degrees and forms, and in reaction to various things. And the moment-to-moment gameplay is very risk-reward, but they do reward you for being more defensive, because the more enemies you down without taking a hit, you gain adrenaline, which gives you various buffs. Like it'll increase the power of your melee, increase the ability to detect enemies behind objects, increase the size of your reload bar, because there's this thing called overload, where when your gun runs out of ammo and you're reloading automatically, if you press the trigger in the middle of that bar, it'll give you an overload buff, and of course you'll reload faster. So there's all these little things, and you'll find stuff to help you, but a lot of the stuff usually comes with some kind of debuff along with a buff. For example, there are chests and things in the game that could be corrupted with, I think they call it malice, or no, there's like malignant. Thank you. Like, yeah. So any malignant chests or keys that you pick up, you have a chance to have a suit malfunction, and that could be taking damage every time you pick up an item, which is one of the worst ones. Taking damage when you fall a certain height, could be having a higher chance of other objects being malignant, different stuff like that. And then you have these parasites that will buff you, like adding protection and firepower, things like that, but again, giving you some kind of debuff. So you have to weigh whether or not the debuff is worth it or if it fits your playstyle. And I find that my success in this game really hinged upon me quickly adapting to my particular playstyle and what works for me, which I found out luckily pretty quickly, to be honest. And I don't know if that's just me having a lot of luck, but I've done 2 episodes, Tuesday and Thursday, about 3 hours each, and I've already reached the end of the final biome and had my first quote-unquote ending. But of course, a la Hades, I've looped back around, and now I'm trying to figure out why I've done that again. I think that there's mention of alternate endings and, of course, continuing story. I think that my forays or adventures into the house and my repeated runs through the biome will eventually uncover more of the story for me. But it was funny on Thursday thinking I've gotten off this planet. Like, I did it. I won. Yay. And then only to realize, nope, there's more. So it's been a bit of a blast. I've had a lot of fun with it. People are talking about how difficult it is, and I don't want to cheapen that and say it's not, but it's not the type of difficult that to me feels insurmountable. To me, the difficulty really does depend on your playstyle and the decisions that you make, and a bit of luck as far as what you find in the run. I had probably the most amazing run I've had yet yesterday, and I got all the way through the game in one shot, because, I mean, that's how you do it. You got to do it in one shot.
Right.
And
So weird.
I maxed out, like, my weapon proficiency and my HP. I had all these buffs, and I was just good to go. And I figured out a good flow and a good, like, I had a good decision-making process. Like, I'm not picking up this parasite. I'm going to cleanse this chest. I'm going to skip this chest. You know, stuff like that, right?
Right.
Or I favor this weapon because I'm better with it. You know, you start to figure out which weapons you do better with, and then you figure out the enemy's patterns. So there is a lot of trial and error, but it's so fun figuring things out, at least it was for me, that I didn't mind dying or failing. And a lot of times when I did, I felt like I deserved it. And I'm like, well, I just kind of screwed that up. I got to try again. And so for me, there was this constant pool of, what are you going to find on this run? What are you going to discover? What parts of the story are you going to find out? Do you get to go to that freaky house again and get spooked in first person? You know, there's all this weird shit going on. And the combat is just wonderful. I even remapped the controller to make the combat easier for me personally. I switched the dash and the jump, which are two very crucial buttons in this game, especially in the first biome. There's a lot of pitfalls. So if you zig when you wanted to zag, you suffer for it badly. So I switched the buttons for Thursday, and in the beginning you'll see me like he should have jumped there. I did try. I pressed the wrong button. But once it clicked and I got my mind used to switch the buttons that I switched, I was able to figure it out. And the reason why I switched buttons is your dash and your jump are on the face buttons, so you can't control the camera while you're jumping or dashing, but you jump and dash so much because the combat's all about just keep moving. Don't get hit, keep moving, take your shots when you think you can safely take them. And so I figured if I put my dash and my jump on the bumpers, I would have a better time with the combat. And it's true. That actually ended up being really super useful to me. Okay. So there's been a bit of controversy this week with the difficulty. People are like, oh, get good. And why are people complaining that it's hard? And I've seen a lot of articles talking about there's no save state in a run. And that's where a lot of the backlash was coming from. Like, it's supposed to be hard. No. The issue of there not being a save state is not about whether it's hard or not. It's about the game respecting your time. And I talked to you about this throughout the week. Yeah. They say that if you're in a good run and you need to stop playing because, I don't know, you need to sleep, eat, or live your life, you can just pause the game and put it in rest mode. And that works, except for there's a few problems with that. One, and this happens in my neighborhood fairly often. It happened, I think, actually this week. The power just goes out. Even if it flickers on and off, like during a storm. Bam. Run dead. Okay? Let's say the power doesn't go out. Another thing that happened to me, the game updated while it was in rest mode overnight, and then it decided to shut itself off so that way the update could take hold rather than asking me. Because I would just prefer to play the game offline, which you can. You can most definitely play the game offline. This is not an Outrider situation. But because I was online when I put it in rest mode, it decided, well, he must want to remain online, so we'll just kick him out of the game altogether.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And then I got kicked out of rest mode again for, I think, well, actually, no, this didn't happen to me. This happened to Video Game Donkey. This is on Twitter. This is another thing that people discovered. If the game crashes. Now, so far, the game has not crashed on me, and they did release another update this week that I think fixes or addresses the issue of crashing. And from my personal experience, I've never had the game crash on me once. So maybe it did get fixed, or maybe it just depends. I don't know. And I've had some pretty lengthy gaming sessions. Like, I probably played the game upwards maybe 4 hours at a time, depending. Wow. And no issues. So OBS crashed on me last night. If you go to watch part 2 on my YouTube channel or on Twitch right now, there's this little part about 60 seconds long, almost up to 3 hours, where it has that symbol of that guy grabbing his head like, oh no. Yeah. But I immediately saw as my screen flickered, it actually got me hit. Unfortunately, I was in the middle of a firefight when it happened. But I was able to have the presence of mind to quickly pause, run over here, turn OBS back on, and keep the stream going. So that was cool.
Right. Wow.
But
seems like a lot of issues popping up.
Yeah, so the reason why people want to save state is because, and I didn't notice this because I have Hades on Switch. So when I was in the middle of a run on Hades, I would just turn off my Switch because it automatically goes into sleep mode. You know, you'd have to like physically try to power it off. Right. A power search doesn't hurt. The only thing that might do it, and this happened to me on Persona 5 Strikers one time, is if the cart gets tilted and then it doesn't register the game. Has that ever happened to you where the cart tilted?
How would it tilt?
I don't know how it happened, but I turned it on and it just said it shut off because it could no longer detect a cart or something. So I had to like pull it out and put it back in, the little cartridge. Yeah. And it was just in the dock. Like, I don't think I bumped it or anything, unless somebody came in here, dropped my Switch, didn't tell me, and put it back up. Which, I mean, I live in the house with a 5-year-old and someone who doesn't play games at all. It's totally possible. Like, whoops, I dropped this. Doesn't look broke. Just put it back and don't tell him.
All right. Right. No one will ever know.
Yeah, so my thing is, what I think that you should be able to do is I think you should be able to save and exit. And that way, as soon as you boot back in the game, it just launches you right back into that run. If you die or try to start a new run, that's when you would lose your run progress. And that way people can still... Because the runs can last a really long time, man. Like I said, to get through all 3 biomes, I did it in about 2 hours, but it could take longer or less time just depending on how familiar you are with the game. And I had to be careful in a lot of parts, because the game is tough. Biomes? Yeah, there's 3 biomes. I mean, unless it extends through multiple plays, but my first playthrough of the planet to escape the planet, 3 biomes.
Okay.
And a lot of the reviews I've seen only show you up to 2, so I'm thinking that the reason why is because the 3rd biome is spoilery in some way. I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know that I couldn't get all of the traversal tools until I got to the 3rd biome. But there's still one traversal tool I don't have unless I haven't figured something out that I should have. There are parts in the game where you have power-ups and items that you can only get underwater. And I haven't been able to get them because I can't go underwater. But I have a grappling hook so I can reach high areas. I have a melee weapon so I can like uncover like certain vines and certain force field blocks. And there's really nothing else impeding my traversal progress so far. So
yeah, I will say this: the gameplay looks smooth. Really
it feels
smooth. It looks
smooth
like a lot
too.
of fun.
Like, I gotta tell you, the way that they utilize that controller for feedback, like, I get a lot of cues about my alternate fire modes and using the alternate fire, and cues about my environment and the enemies. All of the sound effects, the on-screen prompts, the controller, they work in tandem to make you badass. Like, Karen, if she asks for the manager, fucking run out of there, because that store is going to be a smoking crater. Like, she kicks so much ass. Oh my god. So I feel really in control and powerful when I'm playing as her. And last night when I was fighting the boss of the 2nd biome, and I beat him on my first try too, by the way. I felt very proud about that. I beat the 3rd boss on my first try with the worst weapon. I don't want to ruin it too much, but you're a distance away from the 3rd boss for a decent amount of that battle, and I had a shotgun. I was like, fuck my life.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I had a chance to grab a handgun right before, but I was like, why do I want this handgun? This shotgun is doing really... Oh, shit.
That's why.
And it drew the battle out longer than it needed to, and I almost died, but I made it, man. At one point I was like, I'm not going to win, but I'm also not going to give up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So... I don't know. Do you have any questions about the game? Anything you want to clarify? Anything you're curious about? I played Returnal a bunch. AMA.
Yeah. As far as your the story goes, do you feel like you've gotten, like you understand what's going on, or are you going to need to play a lot more?
I have theories. It's a lot like WandaVision. Okay. You get clues and tidbits, and you're like, I can tell that there's some drama between her and her mother, who also wanted to be an astronaut but may or may not have been as successful as she became. And the home that you see is a representation of your childhood homes. There's a lot of psychological stuff that happens there, letters you read, books you pick up, and there's rooms that she's afraid to go into. So I feel like something really traumatic happened to her, and she's either really on that planet and the planet is able to pull or manifest her greatest fears or things that have caused her trauma, or she's in a hospital somewhere and dreaming this whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there definitely is, there's a lot of existentialism and a lot of psychological horror that is laced over this in this action game. It's really weird. I've never played anything quite like it, but I'm loving the direction that these roguelikes are going, because they're taking the formula of roguelite and baking it into a really complex story. Between this and Hades, it's becoming one of my favorite genres. Like if people keep making games like this, where they weave such an interesting story and awesome gameplay into these roguelikes, I already liked them. You know what I mean? I love Rogue Legacy. I love Binding of Isaac. But this is just taking these games to a whole new level, and I'm here for it. I love this game. It'll probably end up being in my top 5 this year if we do another top 5 for 2021. Okay. But it's early, and there's a lot of other games to play, so we'll have to wait and see on that.
Cool, man. Sounds dope.
All right, well, let's get into gaming news.
Baby.
So you got a few newsy bits. If you want to go ahead and rattle them off, man, what you got this week?
Yeah, so Best Buy right now has a bunch of its steelbooks on sale for $5. These include Yakuza Like a Dragon, Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk 2077, Borderlands 3, Fallout 76, and I believe there's Battlefield 5, and maybe a few others. But if you're just looking to get your hands on some steelbooks, the sale ends Sunday. So by the time you're hearing this, you'll have one more day to go get those steelbooks. And I'm sure it's while supplies last, so get on out there to Best Buys and track them down. I'm going to get that Yakuza one, that Doom Eternal, at least, for my personal collection. Because Doom Eternal was badass.
Yeah.
And Yakuza Like a Dragon, I'm sure, is going to be amazing, too.
Yeah, I've been seeing Yakuza in the wild out there for pretty cheap. Gamefly is a great place to pick up used games. And they've been selling Yakuza Like a Dragon for less than $40 lately, as far as I remember. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go pick that up for sure. I was actually going to play that as my next mainstream game, but then Returnal came out, and I was like, I don't know about this. Returnal looks pretty good. And I'm glad. I mean, I'm going to play Like a Dragon eventually, but I'm glad about the decision I made. I'm having a ton of fun with Returnal. So
yeah, awesome.
Cool.
What's next? We got a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance re-release. It's coming out.
Well,
actually, it's out now.
It's not a re-release.
No, it's a re-release. It's not a remake or remaster, but they're re-releasing it.
I don't understand. Are you talking about the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance with Drizzt as one of the main 4 playable characters?
I'm talking about the PS2 version.
Really?
Yeah.
When you mentioned that in the show notes, I thought you were talking about Dark Alliance that's coming out, like the new game. That's why I was is it going to be multiplayer only?
No, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, the original.
What?
His mind's blown, everybody.
No, I am. That's awesome. Hold on a second. I got to look this up. I need more information. But tell me about it while I'm looking this up.
Yeah, so they released a trailer. Unfortunately, it's not a HD remaster or anything. It's just a straight-up port from the PS2, Xbox versions. But it's available today on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And it's also backwards compatible with the PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Oh my God, I'm buying that immediately. That's so cool. All right, well, listeners, I'll be talking about that shit next week. That's awesome. No, I mean, I have it for PS2, and I could definitely dive back into it, but Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1 and 2 were, like, among one of my favorite PS2 games. Like, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance literally kickstarted my love for that top-down dungeon-crawling RPG-style game. You know, like X-Men Legends, right?
Yeah.
That was the first one I ever played. And it also introduced me to Drizzt Do'Urden, who ended up being one of my favorite book characters, because I gushed about him so much, somebody was eventually like, you should read the Dark Elf trilogy. And I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's the story of Drizzt. And I was like, oh, these books are so good. So, no, oh my God, I thought you were talking about the new Baldur's Gate game.
No.
That's awesome. Okay.
I'm glad you're so excited.
Dude, I could not be happier right now.
I'm gonna give it a try.
That's fucking fantastic news. In fact, if you buy it, can we play it online together? I'd be so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to get it for PS4? Or?
I honestly don't know. I'll get it for whatever you get it for.
Let's get it for PS4.
I never played it. Well, I played it a little bit to like test out the game.
Okay.
I never like got into it.
Yeah. We should play it and then...
Guys, he is so excited.
No, you don't understand. This is so great. I kind of want to play it and unlock Drizzt Do'Urden, but I would be OP. So there's 3 characters we can pick. You can either be the human archer or the elf sorceress, which was always weird to me because I felt like the human should be the sorcerer and the elf should be the archer, or the dwarven fighter. And the best combo, in my opinion, is elf sorceress with dwarven fighter. Dwarf just stands in a doorway and blocks, and then elf just launches lob spells from behind him. And the best part is when somebody dies, the dwarf, that isn't the dwarf, he goes, I love Angie. Which we used to always say, I love Angie, as like...
I love Angie.
Like there's this drama where like they were dating, but then like in her dying breath, he was like, all along, actually, who I really loved was Angie.
Angie.
Sorry to tell you.
Sorry, elf sorceress lady.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I know you thought it was
the
real, but
elf.
my true love will always be Angie the dwarf. So that's a dumb thing that me and my friends. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I am ecstatic. God, that is so cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't surprise you with much on the show.
No,
So
that
it's
went
nice to see
completely under my radar. Probably because it's the same name as a new game that's coming out starring Drist, and it is like Book Crew. But
Okay.
I'm just coming down from that news.
It's out now.
All right.
Out
All right.
now.
What else is going on in the world of news? Surprise me some more, sir.
Yeah, this probably won't surprise you, but we are getting a sequel to Judgment. That's the Yakuza spinoff that was on PS4 called Lost Judgment. We got a 5-minute trailer. It was literally just cutscenes, but these character models look crazy. And I think it was running on the Series X and or the PS5. They look so good. And they already looked really good on PS4. So that's coming out September 24th on Xbox One, PS4, PS5, and the Series X. And I can't wait until I'm able to get through my backlog and eventually finish that game so that I can play this one.
Right on. Yeah, I never played Judgment, but it's one of those games that I'm side-eyeing, like eventually I want to get to. So, yeah, man. I got a lot of Yakuza to catch up on, but I know it'll be a lot of fun once I get to it. So
Yeah, I got 5, 6, and 7 that I have to get through.
Cool. Well, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 HD finally got a release date for Switch. It's going to release on June 25th. So if you're a Switch owner and you don't really care too much about graphics and you've been holding out to play Tony Hawk's on the go, that is when you can expect to be playing that. That's actually the same release date as Mario Golf Super Rush, by the way.
Oh.
So Mario Golf fans, which, I mean, who isn't? And anybody that hasn't played it, play it, and then you will become a fan. That's also coming out on June 25th.
New Pokemon Snap came out.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you interested in playing that at all, or?
I was. There's just a lot
Maybe
crammed
with Ben?
into. Yeah, there's a lot crammed into right now, so I haven't picked it up. But it's something I'm planning on getting to eventually, because it sounds like something I'll be playing with my son. Right now, all Ben wants to play is Breath of the Wild, which I'm cool with. I love going back to Breath of the Wild. I've been playing a lot of it lately. It's just literally whenever he comes down and I have some free time, he has me put the game on, and he's like, "Okay, go after the elephant. Okay, now go to the mountain," and we just. We get into shenanigans because that's what you do in that game. So great game to play with your kid, as far as I'm concerned. But I was going to mention Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is also already out on PS5 and Series X. So if you haven't, if you are one of the lucky few that has a PS5 or a Series X, and you haven't picked up Tony Hawk's for the last generation, graphically, I would say PS5 is probably the best as far as load times. Series X probably the best graphically. So, but again, I feel like the load time gap is a lot bigger than the graphical gap. So, weigh your options. Either one is probably gonna be fine. I wouldn't be surprised to hear it's gonna be on Games Pass if it isn't already. You know how that goes.
Right.
There's actually a rumor. Speaking of Xbox, there's a rumor that Sunset Overdrive might be coming to PlayStation consoles.
Ooh.
Yeah, Sunset Overdrive is that Insomniac game that used to be Xbox exclusive, right?
Uh-huh.
I played a bit of it on Xbox One when I first got the Xbox One. It's like one of the few games I actually played on it at any length, unfortunately. But I had
one of the 3 games I bought an Xbox One for.
Right? Yeah, but it was really good. I had a lot of fun with it, so I would be down to pick it up again on a console I play more often, maybe to actually finish it. I got about maybe halfway through that game and then eventually moved on to another console. So what are you going to do?
Right.
And then another comparison with PS5 and Series X this week, and this kind of goes into what I was just saying about load times and graphical fidelity. Tests have been run on Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village actually loads 600% faster on PS5 than the Series X. Now, that sounds like a ton, but that's a difference of 8 seconds versus 1 second as far as the loading. Right. But still, that scales. So the solid-state drive ain't no joke. I mean, people who upgrade their PS Pros with one or they play PC, they already know this. But for me, gaming on the PS5 loading has just been a non-issue, especially for PS5 native games, but I've also seen a marked improvement in PS4 games, for sure. So,
awesome.
Just something to think about. Now, performance-wise, the Series X does etch out the PS5. It's able to hold higher frame rates when using advanced graphics like ray tracing, whereas the PS5 usually has its performance mode versus its graphics mode. The Series X can kind of handle both, but again, the trade-off is you're going to get much better loading on PS5. So figure out what's best for you. If you're one of the 5 people that owns both of those systems.
Right.
I kind of want a Series X, I'm not going to lie, because I really want Games Pass. Yeah. But Games Pass, there's some rumors that Games Pass might be coming to other consoles. I'll get to that in a second and how we're figuring that out. So let me launch into a series of industry bullshit real quick and get that out of the way. Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, the literal devil, the guy who will lay off 800 employees and then give himself $200 million in the same year.
Lucifer.
That guy. He recently took a salary cut. He reduced his salary by 50% for his upcoming contract for retroactive through the beginning of this year up through 2023, which sounds positive. It moves his $1.75 million a year salary to $875,000. But the gesture, as you would probably already have guessed, is merely performative. It's because of all the backlash of him being an overpaid CEO, laying lots of people off, being the devil, yada, yada, yada. Well, we're not really upset about your base salary, bro. We're upset because you award yourself incentives and bonuses of hundreds of millions of dollars while laying people off. So
yeah, because I was like, that's not a lot in salary.
No. See,
I mean, it is, but for a CEO of a major gaming company,
yeah, when you get into the politics of how rich people do their money, you find out how gross it truly is, because they keep their salaries low because that's what's taxed, and they do a lot of offshoring and grants and charity and stuff to get around taxes or to move their taxable income to different brackets so they can be taxed less or not at all. I mean, mostly not at all. Activision, Amazon, and other companies famously pay zero in taxes, which is fucked up. But the fact that he's reducing his comparatively pitiful salary and nothing is really said about the bonuses and incentives, it means dick, basically, to anybody that's paying attention. So, good job on continuing to be an asshole, Bobby Kotick. Now, speaking of assholes, Sony is getting sued with a class action lawsuit over them no longer allowing third-party retailers like Amazon, Best Buy, who is Best Boy, Walmart, etc., to sell download codes for PlayStation games. And I think they started that like 2 years ago. The lawsuit posits that it creates a monopoly due to them controlling prices and keeping digital content more expensive than physical content. People end up paying anywhere between 75% to 175% more for their digital games outside of a competitive market. I find that kind of interesting. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that's a legit lawsuit? Do you think they should be forced to allow products on their platform available through other vendors?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure. So Best Buy, third-party vendors. So the little cards that you get with the download codes for the whole game, they're not allowed to sell those.
Right, not for anything that's on PlayStation.
Okay, so but those prices never go down, do they?
Oh, you mean like as far as when they sell the codes?
Yeah.
They have data that suggests otherwise. They say that because of the competitive nature of having your digital content offered through multiple platforms, that the competitive nature of those multiple platforms trying to be the one that you purchase from causes prices to go down to stay competitive. Whereas if you have a monopoly and you can only purchase digital content through one storefront, that being Sony's, they can keep the prices high or mark them however they want.
Okay, because I just, you know me, I don't really buy digital, so I'm like,
yeah.
If I am going to buy digital, why would I even go to like a Best Buy or something? But I guess sometimes they put their digital stuff on sale.
Yeah, I think, and I've started to know this, that I've dabbled more into the PC market. I think that for someone who does buy a lot of digital content or buys a lot of PC content, this makes more sense because you see this in play a lot more. But you're right. If you're a console guy and you stick to physical media, it may not sound like much. But it is, from what I've looked at as far as the data, my own personal experience in the last couple of years, I see a lot of truth in this. So I feel like it's legit. I don't know how far it's actually going to go or what the legality is for stuff that Sony makes themselves versus developers that they host on their platform. And then what kind of power they have merely hosting. and whether or not they're going to leverage that and risk people just jumping ship and going to Xbox as exclusives. Like, they're risking their relationships with third parties on this as well, but mainly because consumers are starting to fight back and say, hey, we're going to sue you, or we're going to just jump ship, right? And again, Sony is kind of racking up that bad will as far as consumers are concerned on a regular basis, just for a lot of the bullshit that they've pulled in the last couple of years. I don't know. I mean, I think that they're saved by the graces of the fact that they have so many exclusives and they've invested so much into unique games. But that's only going to carry you so far when the others catch up, and they're offering Games Pass and crossplay and ease of access and sales and backwards compatibility. Like, this shit's stacking up, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to keep swapping with Xbox. Yeah. That's even if Sony and Xbox are in the console market next generation, if there is going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because consoles are starting to go the way of the dinosaur, I think, eventually, pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see how we'll follow it. Obviously, it's of importance to people who play games, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of people are saying it's pretty similar to the antitrust battle between Epic and Apple, and that lawsuit has brought out all sorts of documents out of the woodwork, including what I hinted at earlier. There are documents from Microsoft that they haven't given up on bringing Xbox Games Pass to other consoles. I don't see it coming to Sony first, but if they were to move it to other consoles, going to the Switch, that actually might be a thing. They've been pretty cozy with Nintendo lately. If there was Games Pass on the Switch, would you get it?
Oh, hell yeah.
Me too, for sure. The only thing I'm worried about is I would get used to it, and then I would stop buying games, and then they would arbitrarily remove things, and then I'd want to play them, and then it'd be hard to find the game. I'd be concerned about that. I guess you just have to, go play by play. Like, for instance, I bought Final Fantasy VII Remake digitally. It ended up being my game of the year, so then I got a physical copy, right?
Right.
So, but it was hard. It was a hard choice to make. I had to wait until it was down like $20 because I was like, I don't know if I want to pay a full $60 because I already paid $60 digitally. It feels like I'm paying, but I really want to have this game in case something happened. I don't know. So it's a decision. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, First World Problems. That's the First World Problems podcast, starring these two guys. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, though, that new Intergrade, or I should say the final Intergrade trailer dropped.
Ooh, baby.
Oh, baby.
It looks so good.
It does look good.
I said, oh my god, I need a PS5 now so I can replay this game.
Yeah.
And do this DLC.
I liked, this is a mini game in the original game. For those who remember, when you get out to the open world, you eventually find this mountain, and there's the Condor mini game where you have the monsters climbing up the mountain, and you have to like send troops down. It's kind of like a Plants vs. Zombies or a Pixel Junk Monsters, that type of tower defense type thing. And it looks like they implemented like a game board or a chessboard version of that as a mini game that is in the Yuffie segment or the Yuffie DLC.
Yeah. And I was like, that looks really cool. I'm not going to play it, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, I might. It looks neat. I did dig, though, it looks like there's extra main game content in the form of battle sims. Do you know, you're a bigger Final Fantasy nerd than me as far as, like, all of the extra Tetsuya Nomura bullshit. Who's that guy that was in the battle sim? Do you know?
So, the white-haired guy?
Yeah.
I forget what his name is, but he's the leader of Deep Ground from Dirge of Cerberus.
From Dirge of Cerberus, okay.
Yeah.
Right, and we already saw Dirge of Cerberus characters in the Yuffie segment, right?
Well, I don't know if they were Dirge of Cerberus characters, because when the first trailer released, they showed... God, what is his name? I don't remember his name. They showed him at the end of her DLC trailer.
And he was like the leader of one of the factions in Dirge, right?
Yeah, they were hinting that he was going to be part of her DLC, but now we see that he's just going to be a battle sim for the
Maybe
main
both.
game.
Maybe both. But yeah,
then they showed off another character. I had no idea who this character is. He had like metal, like skinny.
Oh, the metal wings, yeah, and all the poison attacks.
I don't know who that is.
Maybe he's another Wu-Tai?
Maybe.
They showcased him like we should know who he is. They're like, da, 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 da. And I was like, who's this guy?
Right. And the head of weapons development got her a little battle mech, a new one, and it looked so cool.
I like that she got featured. She was one of the main Shinra execs that didn't get featured a ton, other than like doming on soldiers, which was great, by the way.
Right.
The whole thing where the soldier was serving as her footrest while she was doing materia research, and I was like, this is fucking like Lady Demestru. Did anybody talk about this chick? Come on now, Lady
Yeah, no, I don't
Scarlet.
think
That's
so.
where it's at.
Right.
I guess because she wasn't tall.
Yeah, no, she wasn't tall, and I don't know.
Hashtag short doms need love too.
Right. Apparently, Lady Dimitrescu isn't even that big a part of Resident Evil 8.
Dimitrescu?
Mummy Milkers.
Mummy.
Lady Mummy Milkers is not a big part
Lady
of it.
Mummy might have some more, Mummy.
Mama.
Mama. Mommy.
Mommy.
Mommy. Somewhere Steve Harvey's crying. But yeah, they also showed new summons. They showed Ramu.
Yes.
He was cool.
I saw. Is it Ramu or is it Rama? I say
that's
Rama.
Ramu.
I don't know. But when I saw him, I said,
Rami.
Rama! I was so excited. New summons.
Yeah, no, he looks cool. And, I mean, that thing at the end with Yuffie and blood on her face and her going, "Wah!" Her friend dies, basically, right? Can we
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We
Her
don't
friend
see
probably
him
dies.
in Final Fantasy VII, the original. So.
Yeah, so he's probably dead. That sucks.
That's
So don't get too attached to him, folks. He gonna die.
Yeah. All those combo moves they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is that it looks really good. And I know it's going to be amazing because that game is amazing, and I'm going to replay it, and it's going to be fucking awesome. And I might have a hit on a PS5 in the next couple of weeks.
Oh.
Local store said they might start getting some soon, so I'm crossing my fingers.
Now you go.
And I'm also trying to do some research on PS5 online bans. And if it's something that can be reversed. Because if it is, I'm going to buy this PS5 from this dude.
Well, I was going to say, you can just reset it to factory, right? They can't... Did they really
Like I said, I don't know how it
consoles?
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it works.
That
So
doesn't make any sense to me.
Once I do the
think about
research
it.
and I figure it out, then
Dude, I bet you can do a factory reset, because that doesn't sound right. It sounds like, I mean, ban an IP address, ban a user, an online account. I understand.
Right.
Banning
Yeah.
an actual console? Why though?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was stolen, or I don't know. I don't know. But I'm.
Well, anyways, Intergrade is out on June 10th.
yes,
Ratchet and Clank
that's
is out
soon.
in June, and a bunch of other shit's coming out in June. So good luck to us on figuring out when we're gonna play all this shit, but it's happening. So,
Ratchet and Clank's first.
oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank is first, and Intergrade I will get to, definitely. It's gonna happen. So I'm kind of sad that I already did my Final Fantasy VII stream, because I don't think I might play
You can
through
stream
the
the
main.
DLC.
Yeah, oh definitely. But I might play the main game again for funsies casually, but I'm not sure, since I've literally played through Final Fantasy VII Remake like 4 times.
Damn.
Yeah. One of them was on stream, and
One of them was on coke.
right? Needs to be. I'm gonna
Right.
go sniff some Concept of Time and go
Right.
for it.
Some crushed Sephiroth hair.
Exactly. I'm gonna sniff some belts for Tetsuya. Belt buckles.
Give me those buckles, Nomura.
Give me the buckles, baby.
Final Fantasy 16. Not enough buckles.
Not enough buckles. 1 out of 10. Not enough buckles.
2 right. 2 out of 5, baby.
Well, speaking of out of 10, out of 5, what, my good friend, do you happen to be feeling this week? I need to know.
I am feeling Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train. If you know me, you know I love anime.
Oh, that's an
Y'all hear our
anime? I couldn't tell
challenges?
from the title.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's long as shit. This is one of the few anime movies that is actually canon to the story of the anime. So what happened is the arc that this movie covers was actually pretty short. So instead of doing a series or putting a season into it, they decided to just make it a movie.
Okay.
And it wraps it all up real nicely. It was awesome. And I say this from just the perspective of someone who's read the manga already. I already knew what was going to happen. So it didn't hit me as hard as I feel it should have. But Vicky said she thought it was amazing. She's like, it was fantastic. I loved it. So I was like, okay, it probably has to do with me, reading the manga. I know what happens. Blase, blase. But as far as like animation and shit, we had to see it in the English dub, which is something I don't really like to do for shows that I watch in Japanese. But it was only showing that it started at 1:15 and all the other ones were like 4 something. It's a 2-hour movie. But you'll find this interesting. This is the #1 highest grossing anime movie of all time. It beat out Spirited Away as Japan's #1 grossing movie, which is crazy. Not saying that it's as good as Spirited Away or better than Spirited Away by any means. It's just wild that something was able to usurp Spirited Away, because Spirited Away, as we know, is just amazing anime film.
Yeah,
amazing.
it's something of note that you can accomplish that feat. I mean, Avatar, the Blue Cat movie wasn't particularly great, but it smashed a lot of records. So that's not to say that it's good or bad, but it's likely that it's because it's good. So it's piquing my interest.
Yeah, if you are into the Demon Slayer anime and you've not seen or heard of the movie, you're gonna want to see it before season 2 pops off.
Oh, okay. Year. So this movie is in between season 1 and season 2.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, maybe I should check out Demon Slayer. I haven't watched an anime since Full Metal. So
yeah, I think
I was gonna get into Yasuke. Have you seen any of that yet?
Oh yeah. So let me talk about that.
Okay.
Yasuke. I watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
I am a bit underwhelmed, and I'll tell you why. It suffers for what I henceforth will call Cannon Buster syndrome.
Cannon Busters.
Now, did you watch Cannon Busters?
I did. I remember you saying you were pretty disappointed in that too. I was too. I couldn't put my finger on why, but I really dug the style and the music and some of the characters, but I fell off of it pretty quickly. I remember you saying you thought it was trash, but what's wrong with it?
And the reason why was because they stuffed so much into it. There's so many ideas in this show.
Too much.
When you could have had a just amazing show about a legendary black samurai fighting for Nobunaga. And instead, you've got that, but also you've got mechas, and you've got a woman that turns into a bear, and you've got sorcery, and you've got demons, and just all this shit that doesn't need to be in it.
Ah, okay.
And it's made by the same person who did Cannon Busters.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, but some good things about the show. Okay. Animation, fucking amazing. Okay. It's great.
Okay.
The intro is done by Thundercat.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess that was real cool.
It wasn't Mo that said Fly Low was producing it, and I was like, he's a Thundercat's crew, and of course Thundercat did the intro. That's awesome.
Right, yeah, but we're getting off topic. Yasuke, I'm gonna finish it, but as of right now, I'm underwhelmed. But Demon Slayer, the movie Mugen Train, go see it if you can in theaters. If you've got your shots, or if you're not scared, little bitch, go see it.
I am definitely, how'd you say it? I am a little bitch. So I'll probably be waiting.
Little bitch. Yeah.
For it to go on streaming.
But honestly, it comes out on streaming, I believe, next month. So, you'll be able to see it dubbed or subbed.
Yeah.
Next
now,
month.
At this point, I really don't want to go anywhere in an enclosed room with other people until Ben is vaccinated. And because he's so young, that's going to be a while, unfortunately. But I'm down to clown with outside hangouts. So come over to my garden, baby.
Oh, yeah. But, hey, like I said, we're getting our vax next month. So, next month is June 23rd. So, at June 23rd, it's on and popping, baby.
I didn't know it would take so long to do your second on the Moderna. For me, it was like 2 weeks apart for the Pfizer. That's weird.
Yeah, they say it has to be like 4 weeks or something. I don't
Interesting.
know. Yeah, so.
It's odd how all these things work, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty soon we'll be doing the government's bidding.
I am a government robot. Give me your capitalism dollars.
Right. Yeah, so that's how I'm feeling. Demon Slayer and not being mind controlled by the government.
Good things to feel. Good things to feel.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
sorry, Vicky. I'm sorry. Vicky texted me, I want Taco Bell. Wrap it up.
Tell her, they're putting commercials out for cheesy gorditas. And they got me because I definitely had Taco Bell today.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even have the cheesy gorditas because I got there and I was like, oh, yeah, them potato Ritos are cheap. I'll just get 2 of those.
Great.
All right. Well, this week, I actually got into a new show, but it's not new. And a lot of people have probably already seen it, but I'm seeing it for the first time, so whatever. I started watching The Good Place, which is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that show with what's her face? White lady.
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart, Kristen Wiig, Kristen somebody.
Right.
Who is it?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't remember.
It's Bell. Kristen Bell?
Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Is it Kristen Bell? Hold on.
I don't fucking know, man.
I'm just gonna look it up.
I like her though. She's really charming.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell.
Yep.
So it's that show with Kristen Bell. I like her a lot. She's actually pretty charming in this. It's got Ted Danson. It's got a lot of really charming characters. This show, I mean, you've seen it, so you know. It's funny because there's good news and bad news as far as me watching the show. The bad news is my wife has already watched the entire show and explained the entire story from start to finish to me to tell me how good of a show it was and how much she loved it. But the good news is, while I did listen to her at the time, the only thing I can remember from that conversation was that this show had really good philosophy on morals and ethics and ended really fantastically with a lesson that I thought would be really meaningful and impactful to me. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember what that was, even though she told me.
Remember the lesson.
So literally all I remember is I would probably like this show if I watched it, which is probably the best thing to remember if somebody spoils a show for you, because I've been watching it. I think I'm like up to chapter 10. They name episodes after chapters. And I'm really into it. I'm digging it. I mean, for those who don't know, it's about a woman who dies and goes to what they call the good place. There's a good place and the bad place. And she asks, well, like, which religion got it right? He's like, everybody got it about 5% right. Except for this stoner dude that went on a rant back in 1992. He got it like 93% right. We have a framed picture of him on our wall over here. But anyways, essentially, everything that you do in life is assigned points. So if you get like a personalized license plate, that's like negative 2.23 points. Or if you tell a woman to smile, that's negative points. But if you save orphans from a burning building, or if you allow somebody to go ahead of you while you decide what you want, or you write down what you're going to order before you call the pizza place, like all these little niceties. Mm-hmm. And they build like the perfect sized neighborhoods for these different people, exactly 312 people or something. Mm-hmm. And the main character, played by Kristen Bell, she realizes she doesn't belong there because while they got her name right, all the details of her life are wrong. And it becomes quickly apparent that because she's selfish and only thinks of herself, any selfish action she makes kind of throws the world into chaos. And so she enlists the help of her quote-unquote soulmate, who obviously isn't really her soulmate, but he's a really nice guy, and actually taught ethics to teach her how to be a good person so she can stay. And then, antics ensue. And it's actually really good. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It's what's his name?
Chidi Adegongwe.
Yeah, he's French. Where was he from? Senegal?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and he's like a professor. But yeah, it's really interesting. There is a lot of philosophy in it, but it's funny and it's charming, and like I said, a lot of the characters are really likable, and it's got really good hooks. Something always happens at the end of the episode that makes me want to keep watching. Like I almost was late to recording because I was watching the show all the way up until I had to rip myself away from it so I could start working on the show notes. Like if I'm that hooked, and I'm excited to like finish it and go through it, maybe talk through it with my wife. There's like 4 seasons if I recall. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Is it the same person who wrote this, the person who wrote The Office and Parks and Rec and all that?
I want to say yeah.
Or one of the writers?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's related, but it's not like those shows as far as it being a mockumentary style. It's definitely there's a fourth wall, but they do have flashbacks where the people think about who they were in their former lives, and then that informs what you know about their characters. So you may have a person that's uptight and prissy and likes to throw parties, and then you shoot to a flashback and you see that their parents never really gave them the approval they sought, and that they were always in the shadow of like a more skilled sibling, right? Mm-hmm. Or the main character, you shoot back to see just what kind of a D-bag she actually was.
Yeah, she sucked.
Where she would never be the DD in her group. She always tried to find a way to wriggle out of it and other antics. So what's funny, even though they showed her to be this really crappy person, I still like wanted her to succeed and was rooting for her. So they did a really good job balancing that out, at least for me. I don't know how you felt about it, but...
Yeah, no, I love the show, man. It's
really
good.
Yeah. So
it's solid.
It's on Netflix. You want to check it out? I'm gonna check out Demon Slayer now, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What I was gonna say about Demon Slayer is, it's very anime. So you may find yourself turned off.
Okay. Well, I'll watch the first episode, and then I'll come back next week, and I'll just shit on it for about 10 minutes, and then we'll move on with our lives. All right, man. Well, I believe that was the end of our show. So for the folks out there listening, if they want to get a hold of you, follow you on Twitter, engage in the discourse, possibly find some things you're selling, gamer goodies and more and whatnot, where can they find you at?
They can check out all my sweet, sweet finds at my eBay store, ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. I post things on Instagram at gamergoodiesmore and Twitter at goodies_more.
And if you want to find us, of course, our main hub for the show is anchor.fm/player2 is entered the pod. You can go there to listen to the episodes or pretty much wherever podcasts are available. That includes Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/player2 is entered the pod. And we have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes and including clips that we have on Facebook. You can find that on the YouTube channel Player2 is entered the podcast. You can find me personally. I'm on Twitter at Mike Peterson AL, and I do Twitch streaming during the week. So come and hang out with me. I'm playing Returnal right now, playing some Wolverine, playing some Lost Nightmares. The schedule and the Twitch channel is at twitch.tv/mcpaperstacks. And all of my old Twitch streams I archive on YouTube at MC Paperstacks Plays. If you want to get a hold of us to ask us any questions, comments, stream suggestions, criticisms, whatever, you can contact us by email at mcpaperstacks@gmail.com. And that is our show.
Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We love you, and we'll catch y'all next week.
All right, see you next week. Bye-bye.